We are a third into the season already, man. This season is just flying by, and hopefully it's lucky number 7 for me in Pick'em, as I had a pretty lucky number 6. How about a 12-2 week in week 6? And boy, did I need it badly, as I've been having a real frustrating season in Pick'em so far. But man, week 6 may have just been exactly what I needed. And let's keep the momentum going, man. These are my week 7 picks of the 2024 NFL season. Only two teams on the bye week this week, and those are the Dallas Cowboys and the Chicago Bears. So 15 games this week. Let's not waste any more time. I got a bunch to say. There are a lot of games that I think can go 50-50. So let's not waste any more time. These are my week 7 picks of the 2024 NFL season. Let's get on to it, starting with Thursday night football between the Denver Broncos and the New Orleans Saints. This one is down in NOLA, as the Broncos are coming off a pretty bad loss to the Chargers, 23-16. LA had a 23-0 lead on Denver at one point. Broncos rallied back, but they just came up short. Bo Nix, maybe the clock struck midnight on him, as he just continued to look like a rookie in that game, and Denver really didn't have any kind of answer for LA's run game. And it's not going to get any easier, because they got to go up against the New Orleans Saints, who have a really strong run game. The Saints, they are reeling. They are 2-4, and they're coming off a pretty humiliating home loss to the Tampa Bay Bucs, 51-27, in one of the craziest games that I can recall in recent memory. But the Saints, I mean, they scored 27 points in one quarter, and they end up losing by 24. So go explain that one. But like I was saying, the Saints, you can't sleep on Alvin Kamara in this game, because like I was saying about the Broncos, they had a real tough time stopping J.K. Dobbins in LA's ground game. And I'm always looking for X factors when it comes to that. Plus, Pat Surtain left that game with a concussion. That's always a big deal. But Chris Olave also has a concussion, so he's going to miss some time for the Saints, as Spencer Rattler is making his second debut, his second game, and it's going to be a little bit of adversity for him, as he's going to be on a short week here. So we'll see how he responds to that. So yeah, I'm a little stumped on this one. So when in doubt, I'm going to go home team, and I'm going to take the New Orleans Saints to get off the schneid, snap their losing streak, get back in the W column, and get things done over the Broncos. I really don't know if I can trust Denver right now because of the game they had. So I'm going to go ahead and take the Saints here. Get pumped, guys. I'm going to be picking the home team a lot this week. So I am going to go with the Saints to snap their losing streak. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, it is the third week in a row I am going to be rocking my British accent, as once again we are flying across the pond over to London, England, for another game in London. And this one is pretty special here on my channel, as this is not only a London game, but it's also my toilet bowl of the week. We got the New England Patriots and the Jacksonville Jaguars going at it at Wembley Stadium in London. Man, oh man, this is the worst thing that's happened to England. This is the worst thing that America has done to England since the American Revolution. Bloody hell, man. This is a terrible matchup right here. But yeah, the Patriots and the Jags here. A couple of 1-5 teams going at it. A couple of teams that are not going to be in the playoffs anytime soon. I will say for this matchup here, the Jags just got carved up by a rookie quarterback in Caleb Williams. And New England is going to be starting a quarterback in this game as well, with Drake May. And Drake May, even though the Patriots got obliterated at home by the Houston Texans, Drake May, he didn't play all that bad. He threw 3 touchdown passes and 2 interceptions as well. He looked like a rookie out there. But, yeah, neither of these teams are any good. Jacksonville is just a complete dumpster fire, man. And if they lose this game and they drop to 1-6 on the season, there needs to be some serious conversation about Doug Peterson's job down in Jacksonville. And he may even be fired Tuesday morning when they return home from London. So my X factor here is that the Patriots, despite them being 1-5, they have been competitive in some of the games this season, and they do have a little bit of an answer when it comes to quarterback here and some kind of offensive identity, and the defense is potent enough to limit a reeling Jacksonville team. So I'm going to go ahead, take a total shot in the dark here, and take the Patriots to win this game over Jacksonville. I just can't pick Jacksonville at the moment right now. So I'm going to go New England to beat the Jaguars in London. Okay, back to my normal voice. We got a heck of a transition right here from the toilet bowl of the week to my personal game of the week right here. Seattle Seahawks, Atlanta Falcons down in Atlanta. I think this is going to be a spectacular game here. As the Seahawks, yes, they've lost 3 straight games, but they're 3-3, and you can't ignore how much they put up on offense with the talent that they have. Atlanta is 4-2, and they have won three in a row, I believe. And Atlanta really starting to make things click on offense, as all 3 of their wins have come against the NFC South. So they're winning in the division, they're coming back home, and they're playing a Seahawks team. So this one took me a really long time to think about, because when you take a look at the Seahawks and Falcons, they're pretty much the same team. They both have basically the same offensive production. They both pass the ball well. They both run the ball very effectively. And defensively, they're around the same as well. So really, this matchup can literally go either way. And I expect this to be like a 40-35 type of game. So, if you're an over-under person, I would definitely take the over for this one. I think this is going to be a fantastic game down in Atlanta. You know, I'll even say that Goodell should flex our game off of Sunday night and make this Sunday night. That's how much I'm looking forward to this one. But yeah, this one took me a really long time to think about. But to me, it's going to come down to who I trust more when it comes to running the ball. And right now, I think it's Atlanta. The Seahawks, sure, they have a big advantage in this game, seeing that the last time they played was last Thursday against the 49ers, and they got roughed up by them. And in most cases, I tend to go with the team that played on Thursday. But the Falcons are the home team. And as I said in my Broncos Saints segment, when in doubt, go home team. That's what I'm going to do here. I'm taking Atlanta to make it 4 in a row, keep up the red hot streak that they got, and drop Seattle to their 4th straight loss. But I would not be surprised if Seattle won. I wanted to take the Seahawks here because I like their passing game more than Atlanta's passing defense. But like I said, I think it's going to come down to who I think wins in the trenches and who I think can run the ball better. To me, that's the Falcons. I trust Bijan Robinson a little bit more. I'm going Atlanta to win this one. A very good game over the Seahawks. Then we got one of the easier ones to decide. We got the Tennessee Titans and the Buffalo Bills down up in Buffalo. As the Titans, yeah, they're just not a good team. They dropped one at home to Indy, while the Bills, they're 4-2. They snapped their 2-game losing streak with a win against the Jets on Monday night. But I'd be a little concerned if I was a Bills fan right now, because it's starting to look a lot like last season for them when they got off to that hot start, and then they hit a little bit of a slump mid-season. So, yeah, Buffalo, they kind of need a get it right game, and I think this is the week to do it. I'm going to go Buffalo to beat the Titans here and improve to 5-2. At the end of the day, the Bills, they're just a way better team than Tennessee is. The Titans, their defense can keep them in games, but as far as the offense goes, they just don't have what it takes to win these type of games offensively. Buffalo does. I'm going to go with the Bills to win this one over Tennessee. Another toilet bowl candidate, in my opinion, as it's not really a toilet bowl, but the Ohio Bowl here, Cincinnati Bengals and the Cleveland Browns going at it in Cleveland, as the Bengals are 2-4, and they won a really close game over the Giants. And really the thing that decided that game against the Giants for me personally when it came to the Bengals is that the Giants had a bad missed assignment on defense that resulted Joe Burrow rushing for a 47-yard touchdown. That can't happen if you're any kind of defense right there. And Daniel Jones throwing a really sloppy interception when they were in Bengals territory. If neither of those two things happened, the Giants probably could have beaten the Bengals. Cincinnati did not look good Sunday night at all, despite the fact that they got the win. And this was a Bengals team that the week before, they put up 38 points against the Baltimore Ravens, and it looked like their offense was just back. So Bengals, once again, are facing a scenario where they have more questions than answers when it comes to their team. As for the Cleveland Browns, they're 1-5. They just got swept by the NFC East. They lost to Philly, a game, again, in which the Browns had their chances to win, but they just blew it in typical Browns fashion. And now they just got rid of Amari Cooper. So it only took the Browns a third of the way into the season to start their fire sale. And I love it, man. Deshaun Weinstein once again stinking up the joint. Offensive line can't do anything with him. It's just miserable for the Browns, and I love it. However, the Browns do have an advantage in this game. And you know what that is? Nick Chubb has a chance to make a season debut in this game. There have been reports that he could start in this game. And with the way the Bengals' rush defense is, the way that their defense is played, if Nick Chubb does start this game, I have a feeling that he's just going to run hog wild on the Cincinnati Bengals. Okay? Not that I think that the Browns' passing offense is going to do anything because it hasn't done anything all season, and now they just lost Amari Cooper. But they got to attack the middle with David Njoku, in my opinion. So there you go right there. As for the Bengals, I mean, their offense has to really get things sorted out. Like I said, 38 points the week before, only basically 10 points against the Giants. Yes, I know Chase Brown had that 30-yard touchdown run, but really that game was already decided. That was just the Giants just like having the game decided right there. So really the Bengals only got like 10 legitimate points on offense. And we know how tough Cleveland can play at home defensively. So I think if there's a get it right game for the Browns defense, I think it's this one here, which is why this is actually going to be my upset of the week. That's right, baby. I am taking the Cleveland Browns to upset the Bengals. Two big reasons why. Number one, the Bengals have struggled so much against the AFC North over the past year and a half now. They are 0-3 against the Ravens, 0-2 against us, and they're 1-1 against Cleveland, but they only beat the Browns in week 18 last year because the Browns rested their starters and they had a playoff spot wrapped up. They had nothing else to play for. The Bengals have done terrible against the AFC North. And secondly, the Bengals have done terrible against the Browns since 2018. They have not beaten the Browns in Cleveland since 2017, the year the Browns went 0-16. Okay? The Browns have dominated this rivalry, especially in Cleveland as of late, And until the Bengals actually find a way to get the job done in Cleveland, I'm going to pick the Browns to beat them in Cleveland every time. So, yes, the Browns are my upset of the week. I'm taking them to beat the Bengals. Then we got another really good one coming up. We got the Houston Texans and the Green Bay Packers up in Lambeau. The Texans are 5-1 on the season as they absolutely demolished the Patriots in Foxborough 41-21. A great offensive day for Houston. While the Packers, they are 4-2 on the season, and all of a sudden Green Bay has turned their season around, and Jordan Love is playing like the top echelon quarterback that most people thought he'd be, myself included. And Green Bay's 4-2. They beat up on the Arizona Cardinals. So that's your headline for this one right here. CJ Stroud against Jordan Love. So some things about this. The Texans, I like them more defensively in this game because Houston has the 8th ranked defense going in this one. But a big concerning factor, the Texans are down several key starters in this game, and they're either questionable or they're doubtful for this game. The Packers defense is a little spotty at times, but they can, limit you. But they're just going to have a tall order here going up against that Texans offense here. And again, similar to Seahawks Falcons, I think it comes down to who I trust more when it comes to running the football. And I think that would be Green Bay in this situation right here. So not to say that Houston can't run the ball because they can, but if you ask me who I think can tire out a defense more and take advantage of starters being out, I think it's Green Bay. So again, I'm not completely sure who to go with. I'm going to go home team. Give me the Green Bay Packers to kind of knock the Texans off their high horse a little bit and hand Houston their second loss and keep it rolling for the Packers. Something else about the Packers is that they also lead the league in turnover margin. So if Green Bay can force turnovers in this game, I think they're all set to go. So I'm going to go Green Bay to win another really good one here over Houston, and both teams will be 5-2 if this prediction holds up. But yeah, I'm going to take Green Bay in a slight edge over the Texans here. Next, we got the Miami Dolphins and the Indianapolis Colts going at it in Indy as the Dolphins. I heard that this is the last game where Tua has to sit out because of concussion protocol. So after this game, it's possible Tua can come back for the Dolphins. And while I personally think that Tua is very overrated, the fact is the Dolphins' offense is useless without Tua. And then the Indianapolis Colts, they're coming off a win against the Titans in Nashville, a game in which Indy struggled at times. But, if I were the Colts, I'd still start Joe Flacco in this game because while Anthony Richardson, I think he is eligible to play in this game, the fact is the Colts have just been more productive with Joe Flacco under center. And while I do think Anthony Richardson still has a lot of upside to him. The way that he's just been busted up and the way that he's been beaten up in the early portion of his career. I don't know. It just kind of makes you have to second guess Indy's quarterback situation right now. For the Dolphins, if they are to win this game, I think they just need to get the run game going and they need to have a good game on the ground because Indy's rush defense is very bottom tier. So I think that's really the only way the Dolphins can be in this game. But regardless, I'm going to go with the Colts to win this one and improve to 4-3. I don't know if I can pick Miami consciously to win a game because their offense, like I said, is just so bad without Tua, despite my thoughts on him. But I'm going to go with Indy to win this one to improve to 4-3. Now we got my rivalry of the week, and this is going to be another dandy right here. The Detroit Lions at 4-1, coming off an absolute bludgeoning of the Dallas Cowboys down in Dallas, 47-9. They head on up to Minneapolis to play the Vikings, who are undefeated at 5-0. Who would have thought the Vikings would be 5-0, man? With the offseason they had, with the uncertainty at quarterback that they had, who'd have thought this team would be 5-0? What a story and what a matchup this is. I just talked about the Lions, but how about 492 total yards of offense for the Lions? Jared Goff throwing for over 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. The Lions run game just shredding the Cowboys all game. And the defense coming up with 5 turnovers on the Cowboys and 4 sacks on Dak Prescott. Looks like Dan Campbell didn't need to go for 2 in that one. As, yeah, the Lions, they are a legit Super Bowl contender, in my opinion. They are a top 5, maybe even top 3 team in the league, if you ask me. But you can't ignore Minnesota. The Vikings are 5-0 for a reason. Sam Darnold has been playing surprisingly well. He's an easy candidate for comeback player of the year. And the thing I like most about the Vikings is that they play so well defensively, and Brian Flores has been a master schemer this year when it comes to Minnesota's defense. The Vikings are the number 1 ranked defense coming into this game, and it's just going to be a matchup of the immovable object against the unstoppable force. You know, because like I said, the Lions, they got all that production on offense against Dallas. Basically, it looked like a backyard football game in the second half, you know? So there you go right there. But the one fatal thing about the Lions in this game, this is a game, in my opinion, where they're really going to miss Aiden Hutchinson. That was a terrible injury that he had. He broke his tibia, and he's expected to miss the rest of the season. That really sucks because Aiden Hutchinson was getting Defensive Player of the Year votes already. A lot of people were saying that he should win it, and he breaks his tibia like that, he's out for the rest of the season. That really sucks. Hopefully he's able to come back next season and he's able to pick up where he left off. But yeah, that blows Lions fans. I'm sorry about that. But yeah, this is a matchup where they're really going to miss Aiden Hutchinson, because if you can't pressure the Vikings and you can't make Sam Darnold get rid of the ball as quickly as he can, it's going to be a long day. And then, like I said, Minnesota's defense, they've gone up against some high-octane offenses like San Francisco and Houston and Green Bay, and Brian Flores has been able to shut them down. And Detroit, we all know what they can do offensively. So I have no doubt that Flores is going to be able to scheme against the Lions right here, So this one was another tough one. But like I've said a couple of times already, I'm unsure of who to pick. I'm going home team. I'm going with the Minnesota Vikings to improve to 6-0 and keep it rolling. And regardless, I want points for this matchup here. So this will be my spread. I got the Vikings winning 29-28 here over the Lions, but I'm going to take Detroit covering this game. The Vikings are favored by 2. I think Detroit can cover that. But I'm going to go Minnesota to win this one 29-28, improve to 6-0 in a very hard-fought game over the Lions. So those are my thoughts on that one right there. Then we got one of my favorite rivalries in NFL history. We got the Philadelphia Eagles at the New York Giants. This one is in Jersey. As the Eagles, they are 3-2 on the season, and they're coming off a win against the Cleveland Browns. But Philly didn't really look all that good in that game. You got all the drama with Nick Sirianni chirping at Eagle fan. Yeah, Nick, I'm telling you, that's the last thing that you want to do in Philly. You chirp at Eagle fans, you're going to get repercussions. Plain and simple. So there's some stuff going on right now with the Eagles fan base and Nick Sirianni. I don't know the whole story about it, but it's not a very wise move to come after the fan base, especially on the East Coast. So There you go. I mean, the Eagles, they just didn't really look all that good against the Browns. Their offense has looked real stale. And again, their pass defense and their defense in general giving up a lot of big plays, you know. So I'd be a little concerned if I'm an Eagle fan. Then you take a look at the Giants. As I mentioned in my Bengals Browns segment, the Bengals, the Giants were very competitive in that game against the Bengals. And outside of week 1 against Minnesota, the Giants have been very competitive in all the games that they've played in. But again, I mean, this is just a matchup of two stale offenses. I think the thing that really holds the Giants back from being a solid team is Daniel Jones. I mean, he's very inconsistent. And that's not what the Giants need as far as quarterback goes. They need a quarterback that can win them a game, that can win it in crunch time, not a quarterback that's going to cost them a game by throwing stupid interceptions and not being able to consistently deliver. That's what Daniel Jones is. So to me, I don't know if Malik Neighbors is going to play in this game. I've heard that he might, but it's just a matchup of two stale offenses going at it, and they both have just, very questionable things when it comes to their players as well. If I'm the Eagles, I'm definitely feeding Saquon Barkley in this game. You have no doubt that Barkley's going to want to, get at the Giants in this one. And the Giants, you can say the same thing about them when it comes to Barkley. There's no doubt in my mind that Brian Dable knows the type of player that Saquon Barkley is, and that he is just going to load up the box and play press all day against Saquon Barkley. So really, this matchup, in my opinion, can go either way. You know, on one hand, Philly has dominated the Giants over the last few decades or so. But I will say this about the Giants and Daniel Jones in particular. If there are two teams that Daniel Jones plays tough, it's Washington, and he does have a good track record of giving the Eagles a hard time. So if I'm the Giants, I'm going run heavy in this game, and I'm using Daniel Jones's legs in this one. That's just my take on it. Plus the Eagles, Dallas Goedert, he left the game against the Browns. Don't know the status of him. And if Malik Neighbors does play in this game, attack that pass defense for the Eagles. So, again, another tricky one. But I'm actually going to go with the Giants. That's right. I'm taking the Giants here. The Eagles have been very inconsistent to start off this season. Plus, the Giants have actually won 3 out of the last 4 matchups against the Eagles in MetLife. And overall, I just really don't see what's to like so far about the Eagles. I mean, like I said, they've been very inconsistent. Their offense outside of Saquon Barkley has been very underwhelming. Jalen Hurts hasn't played well. And I think the Giants defensively can really get into Jalen Hurts' head, and they can pressure him, and they can cause turnovers in this game. That's how you beat Philly. You make Jalen Hurts make mistakes, and you make him beat you as a passer. I think the Giants have that team to do that. It just comes down to their offense in this one. I'm definitely taking the under in this one, but I'm going to go with the Giants, actually. If I had to pick a second upset this week, this would definitely be it. But yeah, I'm going to go with the Giants to win this game over the Eagles. Later slate of games. First up, we got the Las Vegas Raiders at the Los Angeles Rams in SoFi, as the Raiders, they got beat up by us 32-13 at home last week, and now the Raiders just lost Davante Adams. They just traded him on over to our opponent, the Jets. More into that later. But yeah, the Raiders, I mean, they are just a complete mess. So Davante Adams is gone. I still don't know who they're going with the QB. And the Rams, they're coming off their bye. And while the Rams, they are still very much injured and they're still very much banged up, I've heard that Puka Nacua might be able to come back and play this game. And if he does, I think the Rams can easily cover this one. But regardless of what the status of him is, I am going to pick the Rams to win this one here because the Raiders, I mean, they're just in shambles. They are a terrible team. They're a dumpster fire, and they really should just punt the rest of the season and go for a quarterback. The Rams, they at least have some kind of positive signs with them despite what their record is. I'm going to go with the Rams to win this one. And believe it or not, this is the first time that I've picked the Rams all season because of all the injuries they've had. But I'm going to go LA in this one. Then we got another easy one. We got the Carolina Panthers at the Washington Commanders down in DC. And to make it short, simple, and sweet, I am locking up Washington this week. They're my lock of the week. Washington lost a very tough one to the Ravens, but Jaden Daniels showed that he's more than capable of going toe-to-toe against good teams. And the Ravens, as much as I hate to say it as a Steeler fan, are a very good team. So, yeah, keep your chin up. Keep your chin up, Washington. You definitely have your guy in Jaden Daniels, and you definitely have the offense to go with it. I mean, they made the Ravens sweat a couple times. They forced a couple of turnovers on Baltimore. There's no doubt that they can do that to the Carolina Panthers that are led by Andy Dalton. I mean, the Panthers, they were competitive a little bit against the Falcons, and they made Atlanta sweat a couple of times, but the Panthers, they're just a terrible team. I'm going to go Washington. They're my lock of the week easily. Now, we got a rematch of 2 of the last 5 Super Bowls. Rematch of Super Bowl 54, and of course, a rematch of Super Bowl 58. The Kansas City Chiefs at the San Francisco 49ers in Santa Clara, as the Chiefs are coming off their bye at 5-0. They are the second remaining undefeated team along with the Vikings. As the 49ers, they are 3-3 coming off a win over the Seahawks last Thursday. And right off the bat, I'm telling you this right now, I think the 49ers have a huge advantage because if you know these types of videos, you probably know what I'm going to say. The 49ers have the rest advantage in this one. They played on Thursday. They played last Thursday. However, the Chiefs offset that. Why? Because they're coming off their bye. They've had more rest than the 49ers have had. And when you take a look at these two teams in this particular matchup, the 49ers are currently second in offense, while the Chiefs defense, led by Steve Spagnuolo, no one ever really talks about Kansas City's defense. The Chiefs defense has been phenomenal this season. And that's the biggest reason that they're undefeated. Their defense has been really good, and Steve Spagnuolo, you got to give credit to him. He's done a terrific job in Kansas City. But you take a look at these teams, and it's like the opposite of what you'd expect. You look at Kansas City and you're like, oh, Mahomes is having another MVP caliber season, and he's lighting up the scoreboard, and that's why the Chiefs are 5-0. No, the Chiefs' offense has been very underwhelming to start off the season, and Mahomes is really off to a very sluggish start for his standards. And the 49ers, you take a look at them and you're like, well, San Francisco's always been a top defensive team since 2019. Their defense is still top echelon. No, the Niners defense is actually the reason that they've lost 3 games. They've lost 2 games this season where they blew double-digit leads. The defense has been very disappointing this year for San Francisco. And it looks like just missing Chase Young, how they lost them in the offseason, that's really starting to affect them. But, yeah, man, that's the story for this one right here. It's going to come down basically to who I trust more defensively, because if you ask me, I definitely trust San Francisco offensively more because I just mentioned it. But like I said, when it comes to defense, I think it's Kansas City in this matchup, man. No one ever talks about Kansas City's defense. And I think with the way that they've been carrying the Chiefs this season and the way that, Mahomes is able to sit back and kind of afford to make some bad plays and some dumb mistakes because the defense is going to be there. That's just been the catalyst for Kansas City so far this season. And if there's a game for Travis Kelce to really get things going, I think this is the week to do it because the 49ers, I mean, they just really don't seem like that kind of defense right now that can attack the middle of the field and can cover tight ends. So that's something right there that I'm looking for if I'm the Chiefs. But my biggest X factor for this game here, Andy Reid just does not lose when coming off a bye week. I think Andy Reid has only lost one game in his entire career where either the Eagles or the Chiefs have come off a bye week. So I'm going to keep that trend alive. I'm going to say the Kansas City Chiefs improve to 6-0 and beat the 49ers again. Mahomes is 4-0 against the 49ers in his career, and that includes both Super Bowl wins. 4-0 against the 49ers, 2-0 against them in the Super Bowl. I'm going Kansas City to beat the 49ers once again. Now we got my matchup on Sunday Night Football. Check your local listings. We got the New York Jets and the Pittsburgh Steelers going at it at Heinz Field. Second time in 3 weeks the Steelers are on Sunday Night Football. As the Jets, the biggest headline with them, despite them being 2-4 and coming off a loss to the Bills, they just landed Davante Adams. The Davante Adams sweepstakes are over. Davante Adams is a Jet, and he will be joining his old quarterback and Aaron Rodgers. So basically, you take the Packers roster from a couple years ago and you ship them on out to New Jersey. That's the Jets for you right there. But the Jets are 2-4, and with them, you kind of look at the fact that they fired Robert Saleh, and you really don't know if they have any strong leadership as far as head coaching goes. And really, I don't even know if you can say that about Aaron Rodgers right now, because Aaron Rodgers doesn't look like the quarterback that everyone thought he'd be this season. It really does look like that Aaron Rodgers is at the end of the road when it comes to his career. I mean, sure, Davante Adams can definitely give the Jets a boost, and I like Garrett Wilson as well. But really, the Jets' ground game, especially with Breece Hall, has been the reason that the Jets have even had some kind of offensive production. The Jets' defense is stingy. It does cause pressure, and it does make you work, which leads me into the Steelers. Mike Tomlin, I'm telling you right now, if we lose this game, expect a rage. Why? Justin Fields will most likely not be starting in this game because in Tomlin's press conference, he stated that Russell Wilson will be getting first-team reps this week. In other words, I have no doubt Russell Wilson is going to start this game for us. Why is Russ starting? You're 4-2 on the season. Justin Fields, yeah, he had a concerning game against Vegas, but he did more than enough to win the game too. Getting it done on the ground with his legs. And Tomlin says in his press conference, I walk past those Lombardis every day, and I do whatever it takes to win, to respect and, for this to lead this team to a Super Bowl because we're acknowledging the 74 team on Sunday Night Football, and we're going to attack the Jets' weaknesses. So you mean to tell me that you think that a 36-year-old Russell Wilson who can't run and doesn't have maneuverability in the pocket anymore and is literally making his first start of the season because he had a bum calf to start off the season, you think that that's going to be the difference maker in this game? Wow. Just wow. That's all I got to say. Obviously, I'm going to have more of this in my preview. But I cannot believe Russell Wilson will most likely start this game. However, the Steeler defense held the Raiders to just 2 touchdowns. One of them came in the first quarter after we kicked the field goal and took an early lead, and the other one basically coming in garbage time, okay? The run defense has stepped up. We've shut down some strong running teams this year. Like we absolutely shut down J.K. Dobbins back in week 3. We shut down Bijan Robinson in week 1. We shut down the Broncos run defense in run offense in week 2. You know, we had some trouble against Dallas in week 5 when it came to their run attack, but really, you take a look at it, I don't think the Cowboys' run offense was the reason they won. It was because our pass defense sucks, and that's another big concerning factor for this one here. We got to be able to stop guys like Devontae Adams and Garrett Wilson. Patrick Queen had a phenomenal game against Vegas. 13 tackles for Patrick Queen. So him and Landon Roberts really need to step things up in the middle of the field here. And TJ Watt and Alex Highsmith, who has a chance to come back in this game, just got to make life miserable for Aaron Rodgers. So it's a matchup of 2 old quarterbacks going at it, thanks to our idiot head coach. It should be Justin Fields. I'm sorry. It should be Justin Fields starting this game, not Russ. Like literally, I'm at the point to where the only reason Russ should be starting is if Justin Fields is hurt. That's it. So despite the idiocy of Tomlin, I am going to pick us to win because I think we just have more advantages that lean in our favor when it comes to the Jets. Not that I'm sleeping on the Jets. They're not to be taken lightly, especially if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers. But I think the advantages that we have outweigh the Jets a little bit in this one. So I'm going to go ahead and take us, but I'm telling you, would it surprise me if the Jets won this game? Absolutely not. But I'm going to take the Steelers to win, and again, more in my preview. Wrapping up week 7, we got 2 Monday Nighters. First up, we got the Baltimore Ravens and the Tampa Bay Bucs down in Tampa. The Ravens are 4-2. They've won 4 straight. They're starting to look like the team that everyone thought they'd be this season. They got it done in a hard-fought game over Washington last week, despite a couple of bad moments that the Ravens have had. And then how about the Bucs? They're 4-2 as well, as they went down to New Orleans and allowed 27 points in one quarter to the Saints. And then Tampa outscored them 27-0 the rest of the way as they drop a 50-burger on the Saints. 51-27 down in New Orleans. Baker Mayfield, he threw 3 picks, but he also threw 4 touchdowns. And the Bucs just had an offensive explosion against the Saints. But now they're going up against the Ravens, and the Ravens defense has been prone to giving up a lot of big plays as well. So right off the bat right there, this game has shootout written all over it because I don't trust Tampa's defense a whole lot either. Need I mind you, a couple weeks ago, they allowed Kirk Cousins to throw for over 500 yards on him. So there you go with that right there. Plus, the way that Lamar has upped up his passing game a little bit, not a whole lot, but a little bit, that's a big concerning factor for the Bucs right there. And the Ravens just don't lose in the NFC in the Lamar Jackson era. So those are your headlines right there. I'm telling you this right now, if Baker throws 3 interceptions against the Ravens, it's game over because that offense is going to make him pay. Derrick Henry has been the anchor of the offense, and he's just living up to advertised. And so for that reason, I'm going to go with the Ravens to win this one. I just think their offense is just too overwhelming for Tampa to handle here. And it's just that, the Bucs, they beat the Saints, and they allowed a bad quarter to New Orleans. Now they got to play a Ravens offense that's more than capable of just dominating you from head to toe. Give me Baltimore to win this one. And then finally, we got the Chargers at the Cardinals in Glendale, as the Chargers are coming off a win against the Broncos, 23-16, but LA was ahead 23-0 at one point in that game, and they only won by 7, so that's a concerning factor right there. But I say it's going to be kind of a moot point because the Cardinals, they do have the talent offensively to be half decent, but their defense is just so bad. Arizona got whacked by Green Bay. And I think this is a game where the Cardinals really need to come to life offensively. But Marvin Harrison Jr. suffered a concussion. Sucks for him. I don't know if he's going to play in this game. But regardless, I'm going to go LA to win this one simply because J.K. Dobbins continues to just kick ass for the Chargers this season. And Arizona, their defense is just so bad. And I don't know how they're going to be able to stop J.K. Dobbins. So I do think the Cardinals can make it interesting, but at the end of the night, I'm going to go ahead and take the Chargers to win this one simply because I just think they're going to run all over the Cardinals here. And that'll do it. Those are my Week 7 picks of the 2024 NFL season. Let me know your picks down below, and let's have another strong week. Let's make it lucky number 7, baby. And this is Mac checking on out for the day. Have a good one, everybody.